Hello everybody, I'm Michael Borlaug from Capstone IT, here to introduce Treasure Coast Top 100. We're here with Chet, Tart, and John here from A1 Industries.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. John, welcome. John used to be A1 Trust, changed it to A1 Industry, and there's a reason behind that also. And John and I know each other because of Vistage, Florida, which has been a powerful impact on your life, right?
It has, absolutely, Chet. And glad to be here with you guys.
We're glad to have you.
You know, before the video started, we were talking about, impacts, and we spent a lot of time talking about strategic planning, and I thought that was something that we definitely had to hit up, and that was something you were passionate about. So can you talk a little about strategic planning?
Sure. People ask me how we got to this point, what was one of the biggest factors or drivers, and during some of my Vistage meetings and peer groups, strategic planning was a very important aspect, and I'm not good at it. I'm just not good at it. I realized...
But you knew you had to do it, right?
I know I had to do it, so at the time, as we grew, I hired somebody to be the COO, and his focus and his job's description was to create a strategic plan, live it, own it, and breathe it. And that's what we did, and that's how we got to where we are today. And we're on our almost third version.
You said not sure you were good at it. I mean, what were some of those things you did to implement that kind of forced you through that process?
I've tried several of them because I knew that if you're going to be successful in business, you need to have a strategic plan. Most of them get put on the shelf. Mm-hmm. They aren't, they're dusted off and talked about, but they aren't actually part of your daily operations and your goals and your visions. And that's what would happen. I would get busy, as a lot of entrepreneurs or business people do. They get busy and they're over here, and it's not our forte. It's not my forte. It's not what I'm really good at. I know I have to do it, mm-hmm. but how do I do it and still manage the business and manage the family and all the things in life that happen?
May I ask a question? What is in your strategic plan, and how often do you look at it?
We had a 5-year goal that was 4 years ago. And basically, I created the vision. I created where we're going to go, what I wanted to see this company be. And they went out and they created the plan. So what's in it? It's a lot of steps, a lot of things, but basically, we wanted to be a 100-year company. And basically, they set the stage. They wanted to meet an $80 million revenue. And at the time, we were probably around 20. And
that's a big goal.
Yeah, it was, and it was a BHAG, and I was like, okay, well, they did it in 4 years instead of 5.
Congratulations.
I don't need to say more. And they did it. I didn't do it. They did.
How often did you look at it to make sure you're on track? Because you track everything, right?
They have monthly meetings with goals. They have red, green, and yellow cautions. People are held accountable. They meet quarterly to find out in the big picture what they did. The team will jump in and help them do this or that. They have to come to me for financial side, but basically I let them run. And again, they're meeting this October to redo the next 5 years. And I'm happy. What can I say?
Well, you just talked a little bit about running with it and owning it, and there's these wonderful core values that are sitting right here behind you. So, I mean, that's a great segue into core values. So, owning it and running with it, can you talk a bit more about your core values and how that impacted your strategic planning and business in general? It
was the lifeblood of who we are today and the success we've had. Again, I knew through different meetings and different books and everything, if you don't have core values and you don't live by your core values, just as in the strategic plan, you don't live it and own it, then there's no sense in doing it. So we decided we had core values, but they were kind of wishy-washy. So we sat in here for a whole day after doing a whole lot of prep, and we decided as a team we were going to do some core values that we all created and bought into.
We meaning the entire company, the leadership team?
Whole leadership team and anybody who wanted to participate. The only rule was I only could give my input last, and Mike and Jan could only give their input just before me. We had them all on the wall. We voted on them. We argued about them. We arm wrestled. We went and took a break, and we came back and we came up with the 4 core values that we live by, we hire by, and we fire by. And we do that. We hire by every one of these core values, and we fire by them. If there's somebody that is not living up to our core values, we have a cause for concern document. We huddle, we discuss, we coach, and if they are not living by it, then we part ways.
That's I mean, you preach core values all day long. And how
I agree. They're very, very important. Have you ever had the opportunity, I guess, to separate from people who didn't follow the core value? And how do you know they weren't following that core value?
We would know they weren't because other people would call them out, or we would have a problem. And what is that problem? For example, if somebody happens to be all about themselves and not about us, and they aren't owning it.
Okay.
And we give them a job, a responsibility, and before we start every meeting, everybody goes and gives a shout out to a person who's illustrated our core values from the month before. Today there was 9 shout outs to people who stepped up, owned it, were passionate about it. Obviously, honesty, transparency, they're all right there. I mean, and we talk about it. And so it's funny, sometimes we say, okay guys, we need to move on with our meeting because a lot of core value illustrations.
Now, the people who they got recognized or shout out, do they know? I mean, is there like an award or, hey, you were mentioned today? How's that?
Everybody who's a leadership will take it back to their team, and when they have their meetings, they will recognize that person. We also have some candy bars that we give that say, we'll shout out core value.
Oh, great.
And a little candy bar, little great game of business, jack stack, an attaboy, or no, it's a kudos bar. And so yes, they will take it and they will go back. Today we had somebody from HR come in and give us a really quick presentation. I wanted to stop her before she left, and I said, I'm going to give you a shout out because after all this went through, you owned it, you were passionate, your honesty and your respect is you just showed all the core values, and we gave her a round of applause.
Well, great. That's awesome.
So important. So as we're wrapping up here, I always like to ask what's that one thing that we didn't get to talk about yet that as an entrepreneur out there you think would be one of the most impactful things as they look at either the company they want to start or the company that they have, and how do they get to the success that you've reached thus far?
Well, I feel very blessed, but you have to trust your people. There you go back with respect and honesty. You have to, have a vision, and what I like about it is I'm the vision person. So our vision is a 100-year company. And then we've got our mission. We're using technology to change the way America builds homes. If you add the core values, that's all you have to have as a core to run a business. And if you do that regularly and keep that on the forefront, on the main plate, and it's got to be a lazy Susan so you can spin it around and everybody gets a little bit of bite of it, you're good.
Thanks, John. This has been enlightening.
I love that. Thank you so much, everybody. John, for being here, Chet, for helping. Again, this is for Treasure Coast Top 100. If you have a nomination as well, please go to www.treasurecoasttop100.com and submit your nomination there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.